Hey everybody, it's Ozark Pepper One. I'm sitting at home in the AC, not doing a whole lot. I'm just showing you a Rumble page. That's a good one you should switch to. Good place to find information, especially if you're somebody that's not up to speed on what's going on. If you know someone who doesn't have a clue what's going on, send them to that channel right there and go through everything. Go all the way back to the beginning. That guy's been a blessing to the truth community. But I'm not even here to talk about that tonight. Uh, I gotta help a friend tomorrow with some work around their house. With, something that's kind of a big job, but not too big. I've got the stuff to take care of it. But let's talk about people and how they don't want you. You know, we've got a society that's warped, and it's happened over the past 50 or 60 years, but mainly since the 1970s, I would say, late 70s. Okay, you can have people that were in your lives that kicked you out of their lives years and years ago, but they always eavesdrop and they want to know what you're doing. They want to know what your success is in life. They want to know what your failures are in life, something they can mock you, you know, or make fun of you about to their friends and use as an excuse to why they left you. You know, they can say things like, well, dodge that. And then when you have a success of any kind, they'll grit their teeth, or if they notice any happiness that you have, they'll have that bitterness because they want to be a part of that happiness. How dare you have any of your own? But we've developed into a society that's so materialistic that they've brainwashed the women of this country since the 1920s. They started with, it's a power trip thing. They say, well, you can vote, you can change everything to go in your favor. Well, you see how things have changed. Imagine the dollar having 100% of its value like it did back then, before 1920. It's all about gullibility. People that are gullible. And they give them a feeling of authority. We're going to let you vote because you know so much about industry and the mechanics of things. And all it was a tool to divide. It had nothing to do with equal rights or anything like that. It wanted exactly the opposite. It wanted to take away rights from everyone. So now you don't have the right to just stay in your house anymore. You've got to get out and work also. Or you starve. But back to the materialistic thing. They are so materialistic now that they will completely wreck another person's life until that person deletes their self. And I've had cousins do it, friends and stuff. And I'm not blaming everyone for that. Sometimes it'd be their own fault with their drug use and everything like that. But I had one relative do it, and it had nothing to do with drugs or anything. This guy was actually just devastated because he had a decent job. He was a hardworking guy, had a daughter, and his wife up and left him. And this was back in the mid 1980s when this happened. Well, he just went out into the woods and deleted himself. And that happens all the way across the country. It happens to a lot. They say it's one of the things about even military members that they don't talk about. They say, oh, they're just depressed. Well, they're depressed because while they were gone, their significant other was cheating on them and wrecking their life, making all that work fruitless. And these people who do this, they don't seem to have any remorse for what they've done to another person's entire life. And sometimes it turns into a violent thing for them. They'll have like the male will respond, or the female sometimes. When you cheat on somebody or whatever, you're playing with fire when you do that, because you don't know who you're with. You may be with a gentle soul. You might be with somebody who reacts with violence. And we've had a lot of fatalities just because of that. But it's a shame that our so-called education system doesn't educate people on that when we're young. That would be one of the greatest things to educate people on, is if you're in a relationship, maintain that relationship and keep it healthy. And don't, when someone's down, if someone, people fall in hard times, it doesn't matter who you are. It could happen to anyone. I've met people who were millionaires. They're not anymore because they fell in hard times. So I would say that would be the best thing we could have in an education system. The two greatest things would be, that and financial and morality. But they teach totally different things. They teach victimhood and give everybody a trophy, even though they're a loser. Some people are just losers nonstop. They don't try. That's the part that makes them a loser, not the fact that they lose or fail. You can fail 100 times and still not be a loser. But when you choose to sit down and make everyone else do the work, you're the problem. Or when you try to manipulate the system to extort financial gain from another person, just so you can be comfortable without having to sweat to earn that income, you're the loser. And that's what's wrong with this country, top to bottom. I've worked in subdivisions during the early days, even when the old days of having dial-up internet. And I remember seeing husbands leave for work. They would take off out the driveway, and these people had their windows open. So I would hear their dial-up all of a sudden start as soon as the guy left. And what was happening is the woman was on a computer, and they would start communicating with their whoever they're communicating with, and some guy or something somewhere, and they were having an emotional affair online, and it usually lead up to a divorce, and then it usually lead up to some kind of financial wreckage for the guy who bought that home, provided that girl a lifestyle where she didn't even have to leave the house. They had a house, swimming pool in the back, garage, nice clean yard, and these were subdivisions full of these people. And if you do the math, half of them are divorced. And that's where we are in this country right now. And that's the number one reason for the decline of this country. And now you got people, you got guys now that are brainwashed to think that the only way they're going to get the girl of their dreams is if they make a lot of money, have the very nice car, have a very nice house. You know, if they live in the country, they think it's a truck. Got to have the nicest truck. You live in a city. Well, now cities are like that now too. But we've totally wrecked this country that way. And I would say that that's why you see a lot of traffic on the road now that you didn't see 25 years ago. Because all these women have to work now. Because they did it to themselves. Anyway, they did it to themselves through feminism. Let's just put it that way. And it was orchestrated from the top. It wasn't just some random chick out in the country somewhere thought this up. This actually comes from the globalist, Satanist people. So anyway, you all have a great rest of your weekend. Ozark Prepper 1 out.